Good evening, everyone, and welcome. I'm so delighted to be here. Some of you might be looking at me and said I look quite different. I'm a bit transformed, but it would not stop me still from being here. Recently, I have also become a patient, and I have looked around to see the incredible coordination of William Osler, Sunnybrook Hospital, and Mount Sinai Hospital in addressing my recent changes in my health situation. And with that coordination, I can tell you that I'm here today feeling quite strong, in good hand. My healthcare is being addressed in a way that is patient-centered, is patient-inspired, because I have agency as a patient. So I expect to have a say in all the decisions that's being made, and that there's real consultation, there's real engagement, and at the end of the day, a comprehensive plan that's going to get me where I need to get to, which is better health. Having said that, I must say, Jason, you have made me so proud to be a volunteer at William Osler. Your quick outside assessment of who we are as an institution, as an organization, as a family is so profound. And I thank you for reinforcing to me why I volunteer and why so many people volunteer in this great institution. But I want to spend just a couple minutes saying something that I like to talk about, which is the people behind the results. An incredible CEO that believes in true inclusive leadership. A wonderful, dynamic board of directors that are very committed to excellence and will push the organization forward, ask curious questions, because the most recent book that's out in Canada to have hit the bestseller is The Power of Why. We know that why stimulates innovation, it stimulates creativity, and it builds our curiosity. And without that question of why and curiosity, why can we not do better? How can we ensure that our patient needs are being addressed in a way that is culturally sensitive, that is inclusive, that gets the patient where they need to be? And I thank you for reinforcing that that has been your observation. So thank you very much for that. Thank you. To an incredible, highly competent senior leadership team. They bring to us as a board of directors the quality of information that allows us to make informed decisions. Without their leadership, without their capabilities to express to us what is happening at the operations, we as a board of directors cannot be able to make the kind of informed decisions that we need to do. So I thank the senior leadership team. I thank all of our physicians or nurses or administrators, support staff, and as everyone has said, that a cornerstone of any organization are our volunteers. People who give up their time, who give up their wealth, but more importantly, their passion to care and their willingness to make a difference in our community. We're launching our strategic plan today, and I've heard a lot of wonderful things said about it. But I must say, it's a painful challenge we welcome, because we truly believe that there are incredible opportunities for us. This strategic plan is guided by our growing diverse population, and yes, we must go beyond. If we truly want to transform healthcare in this community, we have to go beyond the ordinary. We have to get to where Kulvir says, to the extraordinary. And it's ordinary people that perform extraordinarily. But there's got to be a way to engage each and every one. We all need to feel that we're blessed, that our unique talents, our diversity, our creativity, our sense of innovation, our sense of entrepreneurship can all come together and build the kind of environment that is transformative, that is sustainable. And I think the critical word for us today is that we want to achieve a point of sustainability. So yes, the work of the foundation is critical, the work of our staff, the work of our community. And I think what is ultimately unique about William Osler is that we truly believe in collaboration. We believe that leadership is not about at the top, but leadership is grounded in each and every one of us. And if you pull on all the capabilities, at the end of the day, you are driving a system that change is positive, change is achievable, and where change is, growth and sustainability can be achieved. So I thank each and every one of our volunteers. I thank all of you for being here tonight. I thank you for joining us and expressing just how wonderful we are as an organization. And let's just keep going beyond. Let's continue to be incredible. Let's create the best healthcare system that we can have in this country, because I think we have the people, the right people on the bus. And when you got the right people on the bus, the right things happen. So thank you to everyone, and I'm so glad I could be here. Thanks.
I scared Matt away, or it is not a good sign, right? He doesn't scare easily, I got that sense. Though he did come up to me today, those of you that spent time with me this morning, and he said, Jason, I heard somehow now my staff wants me to sit in an elevator on my desk. It's an inside joke you can find out from your friends at another time. Neil, thank you very much for that gracious introduction. As I said this morning, really not necessary, just a crazy bald guy who's passionate about the same thing we all are here in this room for. And just really excited to know that now someone, at least one person's watched that video that you've been talking about on our site. So our work is being watched. And I think the other thing, in terms of thanking the team here, and I want to thank Matt and the entire team at Osler today. It's been an incredible opportunity for me not only to spend time this morning connecting with staff, but really spending time in the buildings, getting a sense of what's happening here, getting a flavor for what the Osler experience is and will be based on, I think, this incredible strategic plan that you have in place. So it's an honor for me just to kind of share some ideas and some thoughts with you in my own sort of late afternoon rambling way. But I want to say one thing, you mentioned, and Yogi Berra, is an idol of mine as well, probably because he makes me feel tall. And he also said, when you come to a fork in the road, take it. And I don't know that anything else can better exemplify what's happened here. You came to a fork in the road as a community and you took it. And you said, okay, we have choices to make and it means we have to move in certain directions. So before we even start, I say bravo. And I think the opening words of the video, which I said to Matt I'd love to share with our broader community, is that a new day is dawning. And it is. And even though we sit here in the twilight of today, a new day is dawning for Osler. A new day is dawning for the choices that we all make in healthcare. And I think you all are and will continue to be leaders in that capacity. And so I congratulate you on that. So it was, if I can share a story with you, as those of you that spent time with me this morning know I like to share stories. It was actually 2 months ago today. I was closing our Global Patient Experience Conference at the Beryl Institute. Standing on stage, saying goodbye to the group, and I get the notification that my wife is having some stomach issues. Mind you, my wife is also 38 weeks pregnant. So I'm thinking, I'm in now Dallas, Texas, where the conference was. I live in Washington, D.C., and here's my wife calling me about this. So I hopped on the next plane home, literally got there in time to say, honey, how are you? Get out of my suit and put on a pair of shorts and flip-flops, as every, I guess, father-to-be wears. It seems to be the garb I saw in labor delivery. And within the next 6 hours, there we were, presenting at the ED, carried up to labor and delivery, and within the next 3 hours after that, holding my first baby son. So I went from talking about the patient experience to living it. And a point I raised this morning, I think something we all need to think about as providers of experience, that language that we use in healthcare. We all are recipients of it. We all are patients. We all are family members. We all have huge opportunities to gain from that. And more so, as president of the Beryl Institute, I appreciate the kind words. It's exciting to bring the global dialogue of patient experience here to your doorstep and to your community. Now, our community at the Beryl Institute now encompasses just shy of 17,000 members and guests in over 40 countries who believe this is a credible and incredibly important initiative and effort for organizations, that it needs to be wet in the focus and the culture of the organizations in which we touch. When we talk about patient experience from the Beryl Institute standpoint, we use a very simple definition, that it is the sum of all interactions shaped by an organization's culture that influence patient perceptions across the continuum of care. Which means that every touch point we have, as I think Neil was mentioning, that every opportunity we have to engage with a patient, a family member, a community member, is what the patient experience is. It's not when someone shows up in that door back there or presents it to ED over here. It's when they hear about us, when they engage with us, when they get involved with us in our communities. And I think one thing that's been so compelling about this work, about the strategic plan, is your willingness to engage the community well before they enter your doors and keep them engaged well after you leave. And I talk about that from that standpoint, that definition, and something I shared that's so important to me in this, I try to talk about it every chance I can, is choice. I mentioned this morning, but we all have choice. The idea of patient experience, the work that we do, the strategic plan you put in place, the fact that you're sitting in these seats is about the choices that you make. The encounter that you have, whether you're a patient and family member asking for something you need, or a caregiver delivering that, is about choices that you make. It was incredible, and I'll talk a bit more about this, but congratulations to Sonia, who took some time to spend with me today, and just exemplified some of the incredible choices that can be made in a community to improve the care and well-being for those within our walls and communities. So, more importantly, as I said, as a person, just as a human being, as a husband, as a new father, actually as a former Toronto resident, and passionate champion of powerful, sustained healthcare cultures of high performance, it's just been great to spend time here today. If you'll let me just share a little bit of my thoughts about what I've seen, a little bit of thoughts about what I think this means for you in the future, I think it's pretty exciting as well. So I had a chance to spend time in both EDs today, and I actually also had a chance to spend some time in EDs both in Canada when I lived here in Toronto a while back, and just recently in the United States. And we all know how much we love the emergency department. It's always usually our most exciting challenge, but our hugest opportunity and potentially our face to the community. In many ways, the front door of our hospital to the people that we serve. It provides incredible challenges, but huge opportunities. And as I looked at this issue, I had the chance to spend time out in BC last year and visit a bunch of EDs through the Ministry of Health there in British Columbia. And again, the theme raised true, kind of raised itself to be fulfilling that, while we worry about all these things like wait times and things to that effect, what people want, what we want as human beings is timeliness, not necessarily time, expectations that are clear, so that we know what we can expect. But more importantly, we'll come back to this, is the idea of dignity and respect. I think the magic part of patient experience, the magic part of healthcare overall, is that there's really not that much of a secret. We are human beings. How many people here in the room are human beings? This is a test question, right? We are human beings taking care of human beings. We ultimately, fundamentally know what's necessary to make that kind of change for every individual we touch, and that we have those huge opportunities. And so as we think about that, one thing that came up in my visits at the EDs today was the power of team. And an important story that came up to me once, and I think it came out in the conversations that you heard about this incredible strategic plan. I was doing some studies around high-performance healthcare facilities. We did focus groups, and we had a number of caregivers, staff members in the room. Finished the focus group, and we would thank them all for their time to kind of figure out what they were doing at the organization. A little woman, she said she was 75. I swore she looked maybe 60. She says, "No, Jason, I'm 75 years old." She was a housekeeper still because she was committed to the hospital. Had been a housekeeper her entire career in healthcare. She said, "I want to tell you something about this hospital. I was too embarrassed to share because I didn't want to make these people feel uncomfortable." Now think about this. She said to me the other day, "I'm just new here at this hospital, and I got the call that we had to change out these 6 rooms on my unit because we have a backup downstairs. People need to get up onto the units, into their floors." She said, I stood there and I said, "Look at me." She's little, I'm 75. She said, "That's going to take me a little bit of time." And she said, "I went to start on the first room when she felt a tap on her back. Someone tapped on her shoulder. And she spun around thinking the typical thing that I think we think in healthcare. What is it that you need me for now? Where is that spill? What is it that you need me to clean up?" But instead what she found was a nurse. One of the nurses from the unit standing there and said, "We know you have some incredible work to get done. We have a backlog in the basement. How can I help you? And how can we help you?" And she said, "We," and in fact 2 other nurses sort of popped out behind her. And here they were, 1 housekeeper and 3 nurses from the unit, changing over 6 rooms to ensure that their patients could find a bed in a timely manner. See, that's teamwork. That's fundamentally what I hear you talking about in this strategic plan, and I think that's the opportunity that I saw today over and over and over again. Now, it's interesting because it ripples through our delivery systems, this idea of dignity and respect, of teamwork, and how important it is. And it means that in our most dire time of need, when I think we present to healthcare, whether it's a moment of emergency or it's something planned and we have great fear around what that might be, is that for you, your family, or your friends, we in healthcare, we all need to be at our best at any given moment. And it's a little exhausting. But so how do we get there? How do we get there? And as I shared with the team this morning, I think there's some important things to consider. I'm not going to dig into these ideas, but it is around definition. The direction, and I think you used the terms true north here today, but the definition of what you're trying to accomplish. So if you look at a strategic plan that says, patient-inspired care without boundaries, that's pretty bold. That is about a new day dawning. That is about a direction and clarity. It's about leadership that you saw at all levels in this organization, not only in front of you, from the board, from the community leaders, from the executives here, but from everyone I had the chance to encounter and walk through the halls with today, who said, I am Osler, and this is what it's about to me. It's about the engagement of those people. It's about the culture fundamentally that you build here. It's about the fact that it is not an initiative. This is your strategy. Patient experience is who you are. You know, it's trite to say, well, without patients, we wouldn't be here. I mean, lots of people like to say that. Hey, but it's true. But you know what? Without patients, patience is a play on words, right? Without patients, we would have nothing that we could do in healthcare. I mean, it is what we both do and how we deliver our care that matters. And it again is what I saw today in my visit, that you built this into your thoughtful and community-based plan. So if I can comment just on the plan for a moment, because I think it's incredibly insightful. I had a chance to read it, get a sense of what it was about, and look at the effort that went into this. Let me just ask, how many people here participated in some aspect of the process of feedback or contributing to that plan? So pretty incredible. I mean, this is yours. The most amazing thing about it is it's just something that Osler holds in a piece of paper and says, well, this is ours, and we're going to stick it in Matt's office and lock it in the file cabinet with every other strategic plan that we've ever had. No, this is the communities, and there's great power in that. And if we look at it from that standpoint, I don't want to touch on the details, but really the intention and the possibility that you created together as a community. And I say this in the fact that it's something that I have never, and hear me when I say this, never ever have seen done before. That a community stands up and says, we are going to stand with you in making sure that this is the right healthcare system, the right healthcare effort that is critical to what we do. So as we look at that vision of patient-inspired care without boundaries, I think, as Neil, so aptly said, that unwavering commitment to patient-inspired care is well beyond patient-centered. Patient-centered is about a focus. Patient-inspired is, exactly as you said, about voice, about listening, about asking, about engaging in dialogue. But it's also about being willing to step up as a patient, family, or community member and making that happen. And so incredible to say that inside that aspect is the idea of exemplary care. We talk about quality, and I mentioned as well, quality, safety, service. These are concepts that we often delineate. We want to distinguish. We create separate roles around them. All these things that are critical to healthcare. And yes, we have to manage them in a chaotic healthcare environment. They just don't happen on their own. We need the infrastructure, the support structure to make these things happen. But ultimately, when we think about this, exemplary care is the integration of those ideas. And it's the integration of those ideas, as you all have said, in the eyes of our patients and peers. You all see things day to day as caregivers. You all see things day to day as patients and family members. You all see things day to day as community members that sit here and look at this building standing in the heart of your community that you know needs to ensure provides that level of exemplary care. And I think it's a critical and important challenge. And then on to the idea of fostering bold and innovative partnerships. Now, I look at partnerships in a number of ways. I think the way that it's designed and the plan is significant because it just doesn't take a building or the people within it to make a difference in a healthcare system. And I think the key here, and I think that kudos to the word, there's so many places that call themselves healthcare systems. Heck, I come from the United States, which says they have a healthcare system. We can get into that another day. It is by far anything that has anything to do with the system. And I think what we find is that the integration of ideas, the ability to share voices in partnership is key. But fundamental to that, something that I write about day to day, is that patients and families are partners in their care. That while we are the experts, and we, especially those of us with critical training, our docs and our nurses who understand the clinical nature of things, are experts, we still have to listen to the voice of our patients as partners. And ensuring that those voices are heard, I think you've built some incredible ideas and programs here that I'd like to talk about as well. And then lastly, education and innovation. It's about learning. And I think it's an ongoing journey of learning that's so fundamental in moving things forward. So I'd just like to tie my observations from your strategic plan to what I saw in action. Just things I actually saw today. And if I can just highlight them for a moment and what the themes are that emerged, I'd like if you'd indulge me. So I talked about the ED, and I was amazed in all the EDs how thoughtful people were about how we began to ensure that people were cared in a timely and effective process with dignity and respect, as I saw. But also what I loved here, and I mentioned as we went on the tour, the bold statements of navigation. Patients, when they come to our doors, are most often lost, not necessarily in our facilities, but because they have great challenging situations. So what I saw in that example was, from the patient perspective, help us navigate, help us find our way. And I think that's something that you do here. You help them navigate, you help them find their way. I had the chance to spend some time in the call center, which spends time on the phone calling every patient that's discharged from the inpatient units in the hospital, talking to the community about their experience within 48 hours of discharge. And that's a powerful, powerful statement to say we care enough to know, but not only that, we use the data in real time to make differences in the moment, at that huddle board, on our unit, so that we know what matters to our patients then. So what that says to me is you understand the statement, hear our voice and act. As patients say and our community asks, to hear our voice and act. And then as I saw women's and children's, something near and dear to my heart, especially of late, I said earlier this morning, I appreciate having an adult day for a change. I actually now, I think I've missed 7 diaper changes. It's pretty exciting. But the family focus in women's and children's and labor and delivery was so incredible. The fact that there was courtesy rooms for parents to stay in dire situations, the cuddlers that were there to hold those small NICU babies when parents couldn't be here at the hospital. The idea that there was an opportunity to care for us, what patients and families ask for, that opportunity to care for us, and that's what you do here at Osler. Oncology, lastly, was powerful, and I was so excited to be able to tour that with Sonia. That when you think about the challenges and opportunities that we have, and we go through such a battle in our lives or with our family members or friends, which I know many of us have had, that we understand we're being treated well, the people are great, as Sonia said to me, but it's also about the environment. It is about what we create in the space in which we can be, in the space in which we can heal, the space in which we can get better and grow and learn from our illness, and then the space in which we can connect with others to do that more effectively. And it comes back down to those phrases that I think are so critical. Treat us with dignity, treat us with respect. That's what you do here at Osler. I had the opportunity as we were walking out, finishing up the tour, to go into the STAR unit by the adult elderly care section of the hospital. And right there in the rehab section were all these stars of people who had comments about what they were accomplishing or feedback for their nurses hung on the wall that said, "This is what you did for me," was a quote. And I think it's a quote that exemplifies everything that's been done here. It said this: "You accomplish victory step by step, not in leaps and bounds." And I think that's what you've done here today. So I don't want to say you've done it, because that would be saying it's over. I would like to say you're doing it. And as we see from these ideas we discussed, from the strategic framework that you put in place, the strategy and action that I observed today, this all represents something the community can and should continue to do together. It's a powerful statement about something that you do so well, caring for one another, about the health and well-being of and for all, and as a bold statement by Osler in your commitment to this effort, to have the members of the community part of that. So kudos again. So as I close, I want to share with one more story, and it's called The Spill. And it's something I hope you take away, because it's really about potentially what might matter most. There's a woman in the bed, in her hospital bed. She goes to reach for her water cup. You know, we all think, I think every hospital in the world has the same little Dixie cup that we put water in. Goes to reach for it, knocks the cup, falls on the floor. There's a spill on the floor, and there's water on the floor, and this nice patient, worried about her caregivers, presses the call light button. She presses the call light button, she presses the call light button. We know what that's like. Nurse eventually comes in, looks at the spill, looks at the patient, goes to the phone in the room and calls housekeeping. So now there's a nurse, the patient in the bed, spill on the floor, and housekeeping. And moments later, you hear the squeaky wheels coming down. In comes the housekeeper, looks at the spill on the floor, looks at the nurse, looks at the patient, looks at the spill on the floor, looks at the nurse, and does one of these. And what happens after that is something I've seen many, many times in hospitals and other organizations, but probably one of the world's biggest whisper fights. And here they are, the nurse and the housekeeper. The whisper fight was about, well, this spill was big enough for you to clean up, nurse. No, housekeeper, this is a spill that you're supposed to clean up. Now, while this whisper fight's going on, who's watching this whole thing? The patient in the bed. So the whisper fight continues, and all of a sudden, out of nowhere, they hear, whoosh. They stop their fight, they turn around, and there's the patient in the bed, pitcher in her hand, upside down, water all over the floor. And she looks at them both squarely in the eye, and she says, is it big enough for you now? And it has to be. That's why we do what we do every day. It has to be big enough for us now. Because the fundamental nature of healthcare is simple. When we strip away the science, the technology, the complicated language, we are human beings caring for human beings, and we can never forget that. And that's what I saw as fundamental in your plan today. That's what I saw in my observations today. It is truly patient-inspired care without boundaries. So remember, we all have a choice. It seems together you have made us significant, a very significant one here. And I believe it will do great things for the health and well-being of this community for a long time to come. So I congratulate you and thank you again for the honor of sharing this important moment. Now it's your turn, and I challenge you on this to take advantage of all it represents. I wish you the best of luck in your journey, and I'm here to support you every step along the way. So continue going beyond. Please continue going beyond. Great things are waiting just over the horizon. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Jason, for your inspiring comments. I can't imagine a more appropriate and perfect speaker as we launch our new strategic plan and going beyond. So thank you. Extraordinary work. I have no doubt you'll continue to be a leader for the entire sector. I'm also fairly confident not to worry, there'll still be diapers left to change when you get home. That's a fairly lengthy process, actually. So you don't want to give away all the details, but that one's important. So I have the great privilege, I have the honor to serve as the president and CEO of your foundation, of William Osler Health System Foundation. And we have the extraordinary privilege of supporting the incredible work of Brampton Civic, Etobicoke General, and Peel Memorial. We also partner in the sense that you've heard about today, in the broadest sense. In the future of healthcare, we aspire to help you build the spaces, equipment, education, and technology that the extraordinary, indeed exemplary team at Osler needs every day. And Jason, to kind of have a few recollections of my own, when I think about your words, your vision, and leadership, I think about the exciting story that we have to tell. I thought perhaps three components. One, these are, as you said, fairly self-evident. We don't talk about it, we live it. Two, we don't say we own it, rather patient-inspired means that we, in the broadest sense, we make it happen. And three, that when people hear about us, and clearly they already are hearing about us, they will engage with us. And that's highly relevant in the work that I get the privilege to be a part of. So thank you for reminding us of that. What will it mean more specifically in the context of Osler's strategic plan? It will mean access to exemplary healthcare, where and when it is needed, provided in the way that you want it. It will mean exploring and nurturing new and innovative healthcare and funding partnerships. And it will mean, and I love this one, sharing knowledge that can benefit other communities in Canada and beyond. Knowledge that we are uniquely able to share thanks to the spectrum of diversity we enjoy in our community. And when knowledge, commitment, and passion are put in action, they tend to translate into something called great patient experience, which in my context often translates into devoted volunteers, devoted board members, donors, and champions for Osler. And I think we're very fortunate, as you can see, to have so many tremendous champions for Osler, for our hospitals. And I want to take a brief moment just to thank the board members, donors, and all of them, folks such as Sonia, who we have the privilege of working with on your foundation. I'm going to pick one group in particular. This is a group actually which is probably why I ended up doing what I do, which is volunteers. I came from a family of volunteers. It ended up being a fairly chaotic, not particularly clean household, but we were very, very engaged in our community. And volunteers are the sort of people who tend to make things happen. When we talked about, as you said, Jason, continually saying, how can I help? To me, they exemplify that. To me, they're inherently patient-inspired. It's just kind of in their DNA. And I believe that they do this because perhaps they have their own life experience, as I do, and want to have it as a way to pay it forward, to help others who are going through an experience that often can be kind of threatening. And so, with their gestures, their smiles, their shared stories, they show us what community service is all about. Today I'm honored to introduce an extraordinary volunteer. When you said things like Osler's front door, Osler's face to the community, if you thought about the pressure that we face every single day, despite extraordinary success in our ER, you think of the type of person who would volunteer, who would ask to volunteer for ER, and who is there constantly. He also happens to be the president of the Volunteer Association. He's a father, grandfather, a retired police chief, a member of the hospital's ethics board. He's a champion for Osler. He's a Osler Foundation champion. He is somebody who I turn to for counsel, and he is someone who unfailingly says, how can I help? Please join me in welcoming Paul Fairgrieve.
Thank you, Ken, for your very kind introduction. As a volunteer at Osler, I am privileged to work beside staff and physicians whose passion for excellence is demonstrated daily. Every day is a learning opportunity filled with experiences that enrich us and expand our understanding of our community. As we serve, we see the courage of patients and families who face life-threatening, life-altering health challenges, and to deeply understand how a smile, a guiding hand, a warm blanket, and a kind word can make a difference to the patient experience. Over the past few years, I've also seen important positive shifts in the way we work at Osler. And I can see that we are poised to do more to inspire change in the healthcare system through our leadership. That's why I'm so proud to volunteer at Osler and deeply honored to announce that the Volunteer Association has made a $3 million gift that will help Osler transform healthcare in the community. Thank you to all of our volunteers who are making this possible as well. So I congratulate the Osler board and the entire Osler team for their significant achievements in providing exemplary care and wish my Osler family every success as they deliver the strategic plan. As I say, thank you for the privilege and honor to serve Osler.
Thank you, Paul. My name is Kulvir, Singh, Gill, and I'm the chair of the board of the William Osler Health System Foundation. I lived in Brampton about 7 or 8 years now, and as I learned more and more about the history of Brampton, the culture of Brampton, I learned that our history really informs us that great things have happened here when a group of ordinary people come together to do pretty extraordinary things. That's how Peel Memorial was built, that's how Etobicoke General was built, and that's how Brampton Civic was built. But what's the difference between ordinary and extraordinary? I ask little kids I talk to about this all the time. What's the difference between ordinary and extraordinary? It's the word extra. So what's this extra part that everyone's prepared to do incredible things? Well, today the Volunteer Association has shown us exactly what extra means to them. Osler's volunteers are leaders in the community because they give two of the most precious commodities that each of us have in our time in this world. One is our time, and one is our wealth. Blessed are the individuals that donate their time to an organization, commit themselves to an organization, spend their time there. And blessed are those that actually give of their own wealth, give their own materiality to an organization that they believe in. But we have a volunteer association here that has done both. They've chosen to give in so many different ways. They've contributed with their time, but today this amazing group of individuals has chosen to make a $3 million pledge to the hospital. It's incredible, it's beyond words, and all I can simply say is thank you, thank you. It's important to understand the context in which this pledge has been made. Volunteers get to see us at our best, but they also more often, well, not more often, but sometimes don't see it, they see us at our worst. They hear the compliments, but my mom, who's a volunteer here, and every Thursday night she comes home and tells me about some of the complaints she's heard as well. But yet after all of that, our volunteer association has believed enough in Osler to commit to a goal like this. So what better testimony can there be to Osler's tradition, Osler's contributions, Osler's achievements? I think this speaks volumes for what we've already accomplished and also about what we aspire to achieve. And I think there's no other role model for us as we try to build a community of philanthropy here. You've shown us what that extra looks like, and you've set the pace for the community, so thank you for that. Over the past year, as we all know, we've begun a new chapter in the real transformation of Osler and the foundation. Under the leadership of Matt and Kay and the rest of the board of directors, we've developed a very ambitious strategic plan. Similarly, on the foundation side of things, we've created our own strategic plan to make sure that we have the capacity to support Osler and their visionary goals. And this plan has been very skillfully and passionately championed by our president and CEO, Ken Mayhew. Under his leadership, we've begun to raise the $100 million that Osler requires from the community to realize our vision of not just patient-centric, but patient-inspired healthcare without boundaries. And we know this $100 million isn't going to come from one check. I wish that was the case. You know, it is not going to be one person that makes this $100 million happen. But we know, just like the tradition of our other institutions, the answer is going to be fairly simple. It's going to take ordinary people who give back of their time, their energy, and their wealth. And these ordinary people are going to continue to do extraordinary things here. That's how we got to where we are today, and that's how we're going to, I believe, continue to grow into the future. So thanks again to the Volunteer Association for your extraordinary pledge, your leadership, and your ordinary acts of kindness. Thank you to everyone who works at Osler. Many of you had a very, very long day today in preparing for this special event. Your extraordinary efforts are creating the best possible patient experience for me, my family, and my community. And thank you to everyone here who's helping build a culture of philanthropy as we build an extraordinary community for everyone around us. Thank you for putting in the extra.
It's a real pleasure for me to be here today. You heard how we got to the development of a plan, how many people were involved, and the importance of putting it in place. Some might ask, why do you need a plan? And in the words of that great philosopher, Yogi Berra, you've got to be very careful if you don't know where you're going, because you might not get there. And as he was driving with Phil Rizzuto one day, Phil said, "Hey Yogi, I think we're lost." And Yogi responds, "Yeah, but we're making great time." So that's why you need a plan. As Matt highlighted, this organization has achieved very much over recent years. That's because Osler has not only had the vision, but a commitment to realize upon it. We are securing a well-deserved reputation as achievers. And in a healthcare system where there is at times a paucity of leadership to make needed change, it's getting noticed. We have earned the opportunity to be a difference maker in a complex healthcare system and reshape traditional thinking on how patients receive their care within our institution and in our community. So it is our responsibility to take up that opportunity and with courage and purpose be a catalyst for positive change here and beyond here. As has been said, the world will make room for an organization that knows where it's going. So you might ask, how are we going to do this? And how are we going to know that we've gotten there? Hence the purpose of our plan, which has as its core 4 strategic directions which will guide our focus, our activities, our resources over the next 5 years. These directions are critical to achievement of our strategy, and I just want to spend a couple of minutes now highlighting each one and what they will mean for patients, our community, and the entire healthcare system. So the first is, and I hope it's up there, create health services with an unwavering commitment to patient-inspired care. At the heart of our plan is building on our service excellence work, focused on improving the patient experience. And I'd like you to notice the words, if you would. If you've looked at vision and mission statements across this province for healthcare organizations, you would likely have found the word patient-centered care featured prominently and as a touchstone of many of them. And the words patient-inspired means something different and more. With patient-centered care, as well-intentioned as that mission was, there was too often an assumption that we know what is right for the patient largely without asking them. We may have surveyed them post-experience, but didn't engage them the way we now intend to. Patient-inspired is an invitation to a dialogue, not a sermon, but a conversation with patient and family about what are their preferences and choices in care delivery in all its forms that would shape a better patient experience. It raises the stakes as you need to spend the time to have the conversation and move that to an outcome. It will be worth the effort as an engaged patient population will make sure we deliver the right care in the right way. And despite skeptics, it will prove to be more economic to the system as a whole. Within 5 years, Osler will be a nationally recognized patient experience center of excellence. We have taken the first steps and are now focused on new thinking, fresh approaches, and innovative models to achieve our ambitious patient experience agenda. In a way, this direction is a tribute and an acknowledgement to the prescience of our organization's namesake. As William Osler said, it is much more important to know what sort of patient has a disease than what sort of disease the patient has. Our second direction is to continue to deliver exemplary care in the eyes of our patients and peers. We want to continue to focus on being an excellent healthcare organization first and foremost. It's our core business. We will build on our work to date and strive to be best in class, that patients can rely on to receive the right care at the right time, in the right place, and in the manner in which they say is right for them. We're leveraging the talents of everyone, staff, physicians, and volunteers, so together we can achieve our vision to deliver patient-inspired care without boundaries, no matter which Osler door patients enter. I just want to stop there because our guest speaker, I've not been introduced to him. We'll meet, I hope. But I did want to understand a little bit about the Beryl Institute, so I went on the website and there was a YouTube video. And the YouTube video talked about, and it was health organizations that had been partnering with your organization in how to make the patient experience better. And it was just a terrific acknowledgement of the good work that you do. But it sort of fit with this, that no matter which door you open at Osler, it matters how you're received at that door. And one of the fellows called it a compact between the institution and the patient. And from every person within it, from the first time you say hello to when you say goodbye, that you deliver the kind of care that they expect and they deserve. And so that's what our intent is in meeting our mission. By facilitating faster clinical decision-making and the sharing of leading practices, patients will receive the best, most advanced care anywhere. As Joanne said in the video, we will be known as the place patients choose to receive care. Our third strategic direction. This is one that is sort of close to my heart, and I think it is an absolute essential if we're going to achieve all we need to achieve. To support a sustainable health care system which works for patients and families in the communities we serve, we need to work and extend care we deliver into the community and work with community providers to support their work. As many of you will recall who have been around this organization for a while, we changed the name of the organization to become the William Osler Health System, recognizing the key word in that was becoming a system, that it serves a purpose to be known as a system. This new strategic direction is the logical continuation of that thinking, to acknowledge the obvious fact that a patient in our community is only well served if we become part of a comprehensive and unified effort around delivery of care. If we hand off patients to an unprepared world outside our walls, then we won't succeed. If we are to create a sustainable system, our effort needs to be to keep people as much as appropriate outside of our hospital, to break down the silos of decision-making and deliver and create a patient experience that continues to be supported and right for them even when they have left our institution. We can be the resource for so many others, strengthening our relationship with primary care physicians, setting up specialty clinics in community settings, having the oncologist attend in a community setting, and offer programs and being the resource around education and services to help people stay healthy or manage their chronic disease in the community and at home. We are strengthening our relationships with local healthcare partners such as the CCAC, the LIN, Headwaters, and the Region of Peel. But that's just the start. You saw our partners in driving our strategic plan. It should be our intent, quite frankly, to continue the conversation with those folks in finding ways to work together to deliver the kind of patient experience and the kind of community we all deserve. This is not an easy task. Healthcare is a complex effort. But it's a mentor of mine. He didn't know he was a mentor. I just liked his basketball team. It was the UCLA Bruins and John Wooden. As he said, do not let what you cannot do interfere with what you can do. And so we won't. The final strategic direction is to create impact beyond our immediate community through education and innovation. And there are a few in this room who we've begun a conversation to start to make that happen. As part of the Peel Memorial Task Force that we set up a number of years ago, we invited a dean of a medical school to come and speak to us, which led to a conversation and an expression of interest in partnering around research. As he put it, this community is center ice for chronic disease research. And while that may be exciting for him, it is a patent challenge for this community. But being a community with one, if not the highest, rate of heart disease and diabetes in the province, it is incumbent upon this organization to lead the research and innovation needed to change these metrics. We must not accept the inevitability of widespread chronic disease. Our participation and leadership is critical to the prevention and wellness research. This means that we are setting the bar high to become a hub of healthcare education and discovery. Osler will be a living laboratory translating local innovations in care delivery into practice across this organization, advancing healthcare and benefiting patients at Osler and around the world. We're expanding academic programs and teaching the next generation of healthcare leaders so that they can take what they learned at Osler and share it with peer healthcare institutions throughout this province. We're also collaborating with patient experience innovators, as we should. Look to those who are leading by example. And one of those is the Beryl Institute. We will share what we've learned with patients and our peers around the world and what we learn from others. And they didn't give me any notes. I apologize, Jason, as to your particular curriculum vitae. But as I said, I did go on the website. I was very impressed with what you offer to the communities that you serve. And I wanted to just hold up. I think I've got it here. If not, I will just say it. It's a wonderful video that says, "I am the patient experience." And hopefully you're going to speak to it. If you don't speak to it, please YouTube it and have a look at it. But it's a wonderful way of understanding how important every person's role is in an organization in making the patient understand that they are to be welcome and understood within its walls.